Hi, my name is Scott, and I have read all of the Harry Potter books multiple times. I've seen all of the movies, and like most of my peers, I continue to be a Harry Potter enthusiast to this day.
And I'm Becki, and I have never read a Harry Potter book or seen any of the films, which makes me the ultimate Muggle.
Join us as we make our way through each book, section by section, where Becki will make predictions about what she thinks will happen next.
And Scott will try to convince me why it's a good series, worth reading, and maybe even worth loving.
Hi everyone, welcome to A Muggle's Guide to Hogwarts, where we are exploring the Harry Potter series with the ultimate Muggle, someone who has never read the books, never seen the movies, and never ever really intended to do so until I asked her very nicely to, and now she has read one book, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and we're going through the second book, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
Does this book have an alternate title, like how the Sorcerer's Stone is the Philosopher's Stone? Is it like the, I don't know.
Not that I know of.
Something more British?
Not that I know of. I think Chamber and Secrets translates pretty well to like
it's not like
British
the
English
Chamber of Deception.
I don't think so. No, I think it's just called the Chamber of Secrets.
That'd be really funny if every single one had like a slightly alternative title.
There's so many different versions of the books, right? There's, not written versions, but in different languages with different artwork on the front. Mm-hmm. And some are really, really beautiful and some are just kind of classic. And so I know like the American version and the British version have different art styles on the front. And then there's like so many different other wonderful looking ones.
Oh, should we give an update about one of your birthday presents?
Yeah, I want to talk about that.
I feel like now would be a good time.
I think there's a couple things I want to mention. First, I want to say a huge thank you to everyone that's listening. Thank you for listening, first of all, but also thank you for your patience because this episode is coming out, I think, a week late because life gets in the way. We have a lot going on. We get super tired and don't have time.
Like you were out of town and then I was out of town and then we were both out of town. And there's just no way.
There's a lot happening.
Yeah.
So thank you for your patience as we're recording these and putting them out. We're doing the best we can. But sometimes life happens. You know how it is. So a couple of things to mention. First off, you wouldn't believe how many people have contacted me to tell me that they have a hardcover. You wouldn't believe how many people have. You wouldn't believe how many people have contacted me to tell me that they have a hardcover copy of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I've had a ton of people.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty bold claim. Like, yeah, they don't exist. I was like, how do you know?
I have literally never seen one until I actually was gifted one for my birthday. So my best friend Tyler gave me a hardcover copy of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And he was like, look, see, here it is. And then I also had like 20 other people reach out to me like over Instagram or just like text me, like friends that I have, and are like, what are you talking about? Of course it exists.
Yeah,
this was the first version I got. I just never got one. I never got one as a kid, and I never saw a hardcover copy of it.
Well, now you have one. So now you have all the hardcover
I know. You
copies.
Guys, you can stop telling me that they exist. I get it. I understand now. They exist. And now I have one.
They do exist.
I have one for my collection.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah. The other fun thing that I got, so my birthday happened recently, and I got a couple of Harry Potter things. I got a hardcover copy of the Sorcerer's Stone, and also I got a game to play.
Oh yeah, that like Quidditch game thing that looks interesting. Maybe.
One of my other friends gave me this game to, I guess, potentially like play or talk about on the podcast. We can see how that works. We haven't tested the game out yet, but we did test the weird mechanism of the game. So it's a game about Quidditch, and I think it's like spoons. If you've ever played the
Seems
game
kind of
Spoons.
like Spoons meets Pop Goes Perfection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you've ever played Spoons, you know that you're like trying to collect cards, but it's a really fast game. And then once you have a certain amount of cards, you grab a spoon from the center of the table.
Mm-hmm.
This one has a little Quidditch ball.
Mm-hmm.
First off, it comes like with all of the Quidditch balls in a little case, like a case that fits on the table. It's very small.
It looks like it's supposed to look like a little chest. Like
Yeah.
It's all themed.
Yeah. And the snitch is in there, and then once you push buttons a certain amount of time, the snitch pops up, and someone is supposed to catch it. So it's this weird kind of like timing game, but there's also cards. I haven't played it yet. I'm going to, and I'm going to talk all about it, and maybe kind of figure out a way to do it on the podcast. But that's kind of a fun Harry Potter related gift that I got. One other thing I want to talk about before we jump in here is Becki and I are always looking for fun things to do on the podcast. Normally, we try and kind of fit in some weird kind of fun activity that we do related to the chapters that we're reading, or at least related to Harry Potter. So if anyone has ideas of something fun that we can do, please let us know.
Yeah,
Message us.
if you've like come across a really great online quiz or anything, or we'd also like we talked about reading like a couple of stories, maybe like one or two per episode of like fan stories, because I'm really loving hearing how meaningful and impactful this book has been. And everyone just seems to have these like really specific core memories to do with Harry Potter, and learning about those has been kind of giving me an insight into like what it might have been to grow up with this, since I didn't. So I really, really like those. And we get some stories every once in a while to our Instagram, or just like people will text you, Scott, or just tell you in person. And yeah, maybe we want to start incorporating some more of those. I think that would be fun.
I would love that. Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, if you just have anything that you want to share with us, go ahead and do it. You can contact us on our Instagram, on our Twitter. We have an email that you can even email, and we have a website now too, where all of that information is there. So if you want to like contact us through the website or on any of our social media, feel free to. We would love to hear your story and share it on the podcast.
Yeah. I have one other bit of housekeeping.
Sure.
I have to talk about this mic situation.
Fine, go ahead.
So, in order to help with like, I don't know, sound spillage, I don't know what the right word.
Sound spill. That's very technical. Sound spillage.
Sound quality. Scott has wrapped this like furry thing around my mic, and it's like my microphone looks like a Muppet right now, and I kind of want to like name it. It's also like my mic is very hairy, so I'm thinking we could name it like Harry Mike to go with Harry Potter. That doesn't really work.
God. Okay.
Maybe we'll ask for some names. I don't know. It looks kind of what do you call it when like you personify objects or animals? It looks kind of
anthropomorphizing.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. It just has an animate quality to it now because it has this ring of hair springing from it. And it's not like sound equipment fur. It's like literally the part from like a jacket that like the hood might have a fur covering, but you can take it off. It's like one of those parts from my jacket. I'll post a picture. It'll be fine.
What Becki is getting at is that I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to the sound quality of this podcast. I'm trying to like make it better.
That's fine. But I also have to acknowledge that now I have a big floof in my face.
Yeah, you're speaking into essentially a
animal
Muppet.
from the Muppets. Yeah.
Okay. So this week, or this past 2 weeks really, we read chapters 7, 8, and 9 of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
Yes.
Last week, Becki made some predictions about these chapters, and we're going to kind of walk through these chapters, talk about the general plot, what happened, anything that interests us, and more importantly, talk about how right and wrong Becki's predictions were.
Mostly wrong this
Mostly
time.
wrong. They were
Yeah.
pretty wrong. But that's because the plot hadn't really started yet at that point, right? Nothing had really started. But this time, these 3 chapters really start to get into it. Like, there, you can see the storyline progressing and actually happening. So the 3 chapters we read were Mudbloods and Murmurs, the Death Day Party, and the Writing on the Wall.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't actually get to the Writing on the Wall. I think you read that one, and I didn't get to read it.
I did. I read
Normally,
that
we
one.
read them together, or sometimes we'll listen to them via the audiobook in the car, but I didn't get around to the last chapter.
It's okay. I'll fill you in.
Okay, cool. So Mudbloods and Murmurs, you actually were pretty right about kind of the overall theme with this.
Right. It was like some of Hermione's past, right?
Yeah, you at the very beginning, you predicted that in this book, we would be getting into Hermione a little bit to learn about her family and her past. And this touches on that a little bit because Mudblood was an insult thrown at Hermione.
Yeah.
Specifically about her heritage.
Right.
Yeah. So what happens in this chapter is Harry goes off to Quidditch practice, and he's followed by a really annoying Colin Creevey who wants to snap a million photos of him because he's never seen Quidditch in his life. And Harry's super annoyed, but he goes down to Quidditch practice, and lo and behold, the Slytherin team is there. I know. Because they have to train their new seeker, who you also got this right.
I got this last
I know.
book. I mean, it's a little obvious.
It was a pretty easy one, but the new seeker is Draco Malfoy. So you kind of see that rivalry transitioning from just like in school to now on the Quidditch pitch.
Yeah, they got to have like an outlet to really get out some of their aggression.
Yeah. And so Draco Malfoy is there, and his father basically bought his way onto the team because they gave the entire team new Nimbus 2001s, which are like
new model,
a broom, super fast. Then Ron and Hermione are there for some reason, even though it's Quidditch practice. And they come onto the field because everyone's upset that Draco Malfoy has money. And then Draco Malfoy calls Hermione a mudblood, a filthy little mudblood.
Yeah, that's rude.
Yeah, like chaos exploded.
Yeah.
Because it's so rude.
It is.
Almost a fight broke out. Ron pulls out his wand, tries to curse Malfoy, and because his wand is broken, it backfires on him.
Right.
And he's like throwing up slugs and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's throwing up slugs constantly.
That's disgusting. I don't
really like throw up humor in like, you know this. I don't like throw up humor in like movies.
Yeah, I know. How do you feel about it in this book, in this context?
I think it's gross.
Especially slugs.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Stuck in your throat.
So what do you think about Mudblood? Give me your thoughts on this. Just the term, the fact that like J.K. Rowling is bringing in some like classist kind of.
Right, bringing in this like purist
kind
of way. I mean, like, I don't really get it because I don't understand enough about how wizard biology works, I guess. Like,
let me stop you right there.
Okay.
Wizard biology is never something that should come out of your mouth. That's you're thinking too hard about this already. When you say the words wizard and biology next to each other, it doesn't matter. Basically,
well, then what makes a wizard magic if it's not biology?
So there's like old wizarding families, and if a wizard has a child with a witch, it is likely that their offspring is going to be a wizard or witch. It's going to be magical.
So it's just like biology then. It's just like genes.
Yeah, but you're thinking like even that is like too
blue-eyed people.
Right.
But you're saying it's just not that.
I mean, you can think of it in terms of genetics, but like the most basic level of genetics you can think of. It's like two wizards get together, they have a kid, probably going to be a wizard. But two witches get together, they have a kid, it might also not be a wizard. And we learned a little bit about that because of Filch, who we are starting to learn about how he might not be a wizard.
Right.
Or capable of complex magic or something.
I think it's a weird line to draw. Like, I don't really understand, but I also like am against like purebred dogs or like things like that. Like, why? Like, why does it need to be? Why is there this like purity aspect that also is like super problematic in terms of like race? So I'm just like, I don't like this way of thinking. I don't like perpetuating it. So unless they're like making commentary on it, which I don't know if they are or not, I just don't really understand.
Well, this idea is introduced in this book because this book and the series as a whole really focuses on this kind of racism attached to magical ability.
Okay.
As the story progresses, we're going to learn more about the evil characters throughout the story. Really, Voldemort is like the main evil guy, right, throughout the series. And he hates mudbloods. He hates like half-bloods, anyone that is not a pure blood. And that kind of view is held by a lot of the essentially evil wizards throughout the entire series. So this idea, she's introducing it now because it's really important to this story, but it's also really important for the overall plot.
Yeah, I'm just like, if you don't actually have any control over it, like you could hate mudbloods, but then like you said, you could have a child who's not magic, even if you were super magic. So I just don't, if it's just random, then I don't know.
The reason I said that biology is thinking too far in genetics is you're thinking too much about this is because it's never it's never explored. It's never ever talked about of like, what's the likelihood that someone produces a wizard or a muggle? That's never talked about. All we know is that sometimes witches have magic offspring. Sometimes they don't have magic offspring. And sometimes muggles make wizard babies.
I think it would be super cool if everyone would just like work together. Then if you were a muggle, but you had some magic friends, then you could still do cool stuff. You know? I don't know why there's so much division, I guess. But I don't want to get too far deep. So that's how I feel about that.
Yeah. After that happens, they go to Hagrid's hut and they talk to Hagrid about it a little bit. And Hagrid points out how ridiculous it is, kind of siding with what you were just saying about how, you know, there's not a spell that Hermione can't do and she comes from Muggle parents.
Right. And like, I'm also just like, who cares who your parents are? Like, it's about who you are.
Yeah.
But that's just my view of life, maybe. I don't know.
Because you're a pretty smart, intelligent, progressive person.
Like, who cares where you came from? Everybody came from somewhere. And also, you don't have a choice of where you came from. You know, you don't choose your parents. You're just thrown into the world. So it's just what you make of yourself.
In Harry Potter, I think for a lot of wizarding families, that's a point of pride or ridicule for your heritage. And it's because maybe it's because there's not a lot of wizarding families out there. Ron mentions that wizards would have died out if they hadn't started marrying muggles. And so like pride in the kind of last surviving pure bloodline of wizards is something that some essentially evil wizard families hold on to. But it's like, you know, it's like it's a race thing. It's a Hitler thing.
Yeah, it seems a little.
It's like, how can what's
superior race?
What's the easiest way to make these people seem evil?
Right.
Is like, let's have them discriminate based on race and other factors.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's the whole mudblood thing.
Yep.
And then later on in this chapter, I think Harry has detention with Lockhart.
Yeah. He's always getting detention.
Yeah.
For a really silly reason.
Yeah, well, he did drive a car illegally to school and crash into the Whomping Willow. Yeah, that was for that, yeah. And then when he's addressing the fan mail, he hears a mysterious voice in the walls. And that's like this voice that's like searching for someone to kill or something.
Yeah. And
so that's the murmur part of the Mudblood and Murmur chapter.
Got it.
Yeah. The next chapter is called The Death Day Party.
Yeah.
This one's kind of weird and creepy.
Yeah, it is really weird. Although I think I generally predicted this right, that it was like the ghost's birthday party, right?
Yeah, I think you said it was a celebration for like all of the ghosts or something.
Yeah.
You were on the right lines, but I think you had the details off. So this is the Death Day is a celebration of the day you die.
Right.
And so this is nearly headless Nick's, I don't know, whatever
500th.
500th
Yeah,
death
because
day.
he was born in 1492, and they said it was his 500th birthday, and I was like, that's
Death Day. 500th death day.
500th, what'd I say?
You said birthday.
Oh, okay, sorry. I meant like anniversary. I meant like, annual celebration. They said it was 500th, and I was like, that's interesting that it was 1492, because everyone knows that's when Columbus sailed the ocean blue. And also, then that gives us an exact year for when these stories are taking place. It's 1992,
Mm-hmm.
even though they came out a little bit later. So there have been things, even in one of these later chapters, that I was like, oh yeah, no internet. Like Hermione was all upset that she couldn't check out a book, and she had no way to find this information without checking out this book. No internet.
Yeah, I don't think wizards would ever use the internet.
Why not? It's a useful tool.
They just like have other things that are way more useful than the internet.
Yeah, but if you don't know something, how are you going to find it out if you're a wizard? Just like...
Maybe in modern times when the internet is readily available, maybe there are archives for wizards. Maybe they have their own secret internet.
Yeah, I just don't know why they would oppose it for things that like just getting knowledge.
I don't know.
I can see that it's more of like
I guess where I'm coming from is like they don't think about a lot of the things that Muggles use because they have never had a need for it. Because like they don't need to think about, I don't know, what's some weird things that like Mr. Weasley talks about are like escalators and plugs, electricity. They don't need any of that stuff.
Yeah, but like if they used email, then they could just release all their owls back to the wilderness.
That's a good point. That's probably way easier of sending a message than owl. That's a good point.
I mean, so if they have like some moral reason against it, like, okay, but like to not use it just to not use it is like kind of silly.
Wait, why are we talking about this?
I don't know. I was saying it's 14. It's 1992.
Right,
It's 1992. He died in 1492. Yeah, and I find it interesting that they're bringing the ghosts back into the story. I feel like this must be significant for this book.
The ghosts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they played a very small role in the first book. They showed up like once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't move the storyline along. But I feel like the reason that we're spending a lot of time with the ghosts now in this chapter, in this situation, is because they're going to come into play in this storyline.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think she did this as an excuse to kind of introduce us to a few more characters and kind of reestablish that they exist and that they can play a role.
Yes.
So at the Death Day party, right before this, Harry is like coming back from Quidditch practice and is like tracking mud on the ground, and he runs into Nicholas, who's trying to get into the Headless Hunt, and then he asks Harry to come to his Death Day party and pretend that he's really scary so he can join the Headless Hunt.
That's right.
And then like he tells him to run away because Filch is going to come and see his muddy footsteps and give him a detention for muddy footsteps. And that actually does happen where Filch comes and then he like puts him in his office. It's another weird reason to give detention is muddy footprints.
Yeah.
Anyway, Nick saves him by knocking over a vanishing cabinet and like breaking it. And then he gets Ron and Hermione to go to the Death Day party with him, which is during the holiday feast. So all the other students are at the Halloween feast,
right? And
they go to this Death Day party.
Yeah, which is a bit curious, but I guess they probably.
Well, he died on October 31st.
No. I mean that they would choose to go to this ghost party instead of a feast where they could eat real food, especially when we find out that it's like rotten fish and gross stuff like that.
Yeah. She does J.K. Rowling does a pretty good job of making this party pretty gross.
Yeah. it felt icky.
Yeah.
Also, I had a question about some ghost things.
Sure.
Well, there were like some dancing skeletons at one point.
I think that's the band.
The band is dancing skeletons. Yeah.
I think they mentioned that Dumbledore would like hired a band of skeletons to come or something. But maybe it was in the Death Day
ghost
party.
skeletons? I'm just wondering kind of like what the limits to magic are. Like, can you just bring people back from the dead?
No, you cannot. You cannot bring people back from the dead.
Okay, then what are these skeletons?
I don't know. Maybe they're just like a bunch of enchanted bones that are like doing a dance.
Okay.
And they're just doing a little dance. And it's just bones. They don't have brains. They can't think about it. But also don't think about it too much. This like skeletons never come back ever. There's never another situation where there's like animated skeletons.
Okay. Also, at one point the ghosts were clapping, and I just wondered how ghosts clap.
This is a really good question. And I'm glad you're bringing this up because they clearly state that the ghosts cannot like hold anything.
Yeah.
They go through walls. They even in this scene, they talk about a ghost like opening his mouth and like gliding through the food, and he can't touch or eat any of it. And yet they describe him as clapping. They clap for whatever musical act is happening. And this is an important difference between ghosts and poltergeists. Poltergeists can touch and interact with things.
Right, that's why Peeves is more differenter.
Right, but none of the ghosts there can. That's a good catch. I never caught that before, and that's ridiculous. She doesn't even. What is she talking about?
Also, why were they saying they were enemies of the air?
Well, we're gonna get to that in a second, but an important ghost is introduced to us, Moaning Myrtle, who's like this really sad ghost that cries all the time.
She's a Debbie Downer.
So I think like the entire Death Day party is about us getting introduced to Moaning Myrtle.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She
was not a big part. I mean, she's a big part of the next chapter, but I feel like we didn't even need to see her there because we meet her at the next chapter.
Yeah, I'm not sure. She'd like I don't know why they wanted to introduce her.
Like Hermione's just like, ugh, she's such a buzzkill.
Yeah.
I don't know.
She cries all the time. The bathroom shut down because
so did you, Hermione.
Anyway, so they're there, and then eventually they leave, and they get out right as the feast is getting out, and so they go up to this hallway. They're like trying to get back to the feast in time, and then they stumble into a hallway with water on the floor.
Yeah, that's super creepy. I'd be creeped out.
Okay, water on the floor. And
wait, hold on.
Yeah, okay.
It's enemies of the air with an H?
Yes.
Oh, so Scott was reading this out loud. So I thought it was enemies of the air. Like they were like ghosts and their enemy was the air, not the.
You mean AIR?
AIR.
No.
I thought that was like some ghost thing since they float around.
HEIR. Enemy of the hair. Enemy of the hair.
How do you say air without it sounding
Enemy
like
of the
air?
Hair.
Try again.
Enemy of the hair.
Now it just sounds like you're saying hair. Like my fuzzy mic.
No, I have no idea what that is.
Sorry, I was just flipping through the book and I didn't see that. I only
Enemy of the air is
heard it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry I interrupted, but that does clear that up. I just thought it was like some kind of dispute between ghosts and the air.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, so water on the ground and writing on the wall.
And then they see the writing on the wall, which is the Chamber of Secret has been opened. Enemies of the air beware.
Enemies of the hair.
Enemies of the hair beware. And then there's Mrs. Norris dangling from the wall.
Yeah.
Who is seemingly dead.
Yes.
Seemingly. And all the students walk up at the same time, and Filch walks us up. So all of them are like, Harry Potter and Ron and Hermione did this because they were here first. And everyone's kind of freaked out, and Filch is convinced that Harry killed his cat because Harry found his quick spell letter on his desk when he was almost getting detention. Yeah, so Filch was embarrassed by that and thought it was like Harry trying to make fun of him. So
yeah, Filch is super paranoid.
Oh yeah, he's crazy.
And
do you remember
really
when they
has it
described his
out.
office? They were like, "There's manacles hanging from the walls because he
Ew.
still wants to like torture kids."
Ew, no, ew.
Yeah, it's been intense. So now that you know that it's enemies of the hair,
Yes.
what do you think of that?
Well, I think we learn in the next chapter about the chamber can only be opened by this hair. God, I can't say it now.
Do you want to talk about the next chapter?
Yeah, let's talk about the next chapter.
I didn't read this chapter, so you're gonna have to
You've read it before.
I just didn't read it this past week, so you're gonna have to give the synopsis.
It's called The Writing on the Wall, even though that happens in the previous chapter.
True.
I feel like this is mostly about Moaning Myrtle.
Mm-hmm.
And them finding her in the bathroom. Or I guess not really finding her. Like, they go specifically to ask her about something.
Well, I think so. This bathroom is right outside where the wall, like where the hallway is.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So let's back up. So they have the cat that looks dead, and Dumbledore's like, something really bad happened to this cat, but it's not dead.
Mm-hmm.
It's only petrified.
Right.
And he can do a spell to bring it back to life because Mrs. Sprout has the mandrake that he needs, but it has to like wait a little while. So
that's important. So it's Mrs. Norris is petrified, and mandrake drought or some potion with mandrakes can cure petrification.
Yes.
And we were very conveniently introduced to mandrakes
right.
at the beginning of the book.
Yeah,
so that's important.
The little loud babies.
The loud babies.
Yeah. So then they go to investigate this writing on the wall, the 3 kids.
Yeah.
Why they don't just mind their own business, I just will never know.
Yeah, you're going to be asking that question a lot.
They're like, why do we keep getting detention? Also, let's go stir some shit up. Well, they try to find out about the Chamber of Secrets, but that's when they can't get in the library. And then they ask the ghost that teaches, the old ghost.
Yeah, what's his name?
Oh.
Professor, it starts with a B.
Really boring name. Oh, Binns?
Binns.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Hermione asks Professor Binns to tell them about the Chamber of Secrets.
So we get into a little bit of like the lore around the Chamber of Secrets. Like that's how we, the reader, get to know it.
And he talks a little bit about the 4 founding members of Hogwarts.
Yeah, that was really cool. I like learning like some backstory and some origin story. Like I really liked that was in this book since I've been asking those questions this whole time.
Yeah. So it's Godric Gryffindor, Helga Hufflepuff, Rowena Ravenclaw, and Salazar Slytherin are the 4 founding fathers, or 4 founding members, I guess.
So alliterative.
Yeah. J.K. Rowling and her names.
Okay, yeah, so we learn a little bit of the history, and then they go to investigate, and they're like, where did all that water come from? And they see like this door where they're like, it was the same height as this door. And so that's when they go to, I think, ask Moaning Myrtle like if she saw anything. Yeah,
because her bathroom floods a lot because she like basically floods it, and her bathroom is right across from where the incident happened, and so they go in there to talk to her about whether she saw anything, I guess. Even though she was at the Death Day party, but she left early. She got upset and left. Typical.
Also, I told you, girls crying in bathrooms, it's a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Surprisingly, it came up a second time in the series. Let's see if it comes up anymore. Let's see how many times this happens.
It actually happened at work today. People are like, oh, have you cried in the bathroom yet?
Someone said that to you at work?
Like, it was like not to me specifically, but like a general.
Just generally?
Yeah, they were like, oh yeah, I've had a bathroom cry. It's like,
Becki has a nice workplace. Don't
yeah,
think
no,
poorly
it's
about
fine.
that.
But everyone has bad days.
Everyone
They get
gets stressed.
out.
Everyone gets stressed.
It's fine. I've cried in plenty of bathrooms.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
okay.
Okay, so a couple of things here that we need to mention. So they get the history lesson from Professor Binns,
Yes.
and they learn about Salazar Slytherin
Yes.
and how it's rumored that he created this secret chamber in the castle somewhere that hid a beast that he could command.
A beast?
Yeah, hid some kind of monster that he could command.
It hid a secret.
According to the legend, he created a secret chamber beneath Hogwarts and hid a monster within it. Only Slytherin's true heir can open the chamber or control the monster. Although the chamber has never been found, Professor Binns is unable to convince the class that it doesn't exist.
Okay.
So Salazar Slytherin, it's rumored that he created some chamber within the castle where he hid a beast to like do his bidding, and only the heir, like a true heir of Slytherin, can open the chamber. And the writing on the wall said that the Chamber of Secrets has been opened. Enemies of the heir, beware.
Okay.
And we also learned that Salazar Slytherin was all for purebloods. He only wanted to admit purebloods to the school.
Right.
But all of the other founding members of Hogwarts disagreed with him, so they got this big feud happened, and we'll learn more about that later. But the important part is they know that the true heir of Slytherin can open the chamber, and now they know that the chamber's been opened because someone wrote it on a wall.
Right. So the heir is among them, but they don't know who it is.
Well, people start suspecting that it's Harry.
Right, yeah. But he's been there for a while.
Harry?
Mm-hmm.
At the school?
Yeah, he's been there for a year.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be someone new, like
Lockhart
or someone.
Just because they found Harry there at the scene of the crime. So they're like, oh, maybe Harry's the heir.
And then of who his parents are and the Voldemort thing.
And so Ron and Hermione and Harry are talking about like who could the heir be, and they think that it's probably Malfoy because he's an evil little bitch.
Right. Well, and his dad's pretty evil too. And Harry saw that little interaction in Nocturne Alley. I feel like might play into
Right. And here's the really important part. At the end of the chapter, Hermione suggests learning more, and she suggests learning more by creating a potion called the Polyjuice Potion that they can drink and they can turn into other people.
But they're scared that they're going to get stuck that way.
So she suggests turning into other people, turning into specifically someone that can talk to Malfoy to get more information about the Chamber of Secrets. So she wants to make this really complicated potion to turn them into other people so they can go talk to Malfoy and learn about the chamber because they're pretty convinced that he is Slytherin's heir. Yeah. And I think that's how the chapter ends.
Yes. It ends on a really weird note because they have to like convince a teacher to give them access to that section of the library, and they're like, no teacher's going to fall for that. They'd have to be really thick, and then it just ... ends. And are they talking about Lockhart?
Yeah.
Okay. He doesn't present as dumb to me. He just presents as narcissistic, but...
Yeah.
Okay. They would find a way to flatter him into it, basically.
Right.
Okay. Because he's a narcissist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I guessed that, but I just also didn't think it was obvious enough. Like, he's not like a babbling fool.
Oh, not that you know of yet.
He's actually quite a good vocabulary.
So that's how those 3 chapters end.
Yes.
And now we actually have some plot, right?
Yeah,
now the book is starting to move forward. We kind of understand what the Chamber of Secrets, at least tangentially, is. And I feel like it's going to be slightly easier making predictions moving forward.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Oh, we also learned about kind of like the opposite, I guess not the opposite of a Muggle, or not a Muggle, a Mudblood, the non-magic person born into a magic family, like Filch. It's called a squib.
A squib.
Which is weird.
Yeah, a squib.
Have you ever heard the word squib used in a different way? Or is it just an industry thing for me?
Outside of the book?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay. It's an industry thing. It's a I have to work with them. It's like a tiny little exploding blood pack that you have to put into people's costumes for like shootout scenes, and they explode at certain times to make it look like people got shot.
Cool.
So that's what a squib
It's
is
called
to
a
me.
squib?
Yeah, it's called a squib. So
I
have to like cut holes in costumes and then like
Interesting.
put these, technically it's special effects, but we have to work with them to place them. And then they like explode on command to make it look like people are getting shot or whatever.
That's cool. I just called them blood packs.
Well, they are a blood pack, but the squib is the specific exploding one.
Oh, whoa, that's awesome. No, I've never heard of that.
You never? Well, there you go.
Okay, let's get into predictions for the next 3 chapters. So this is how it works. I give Becki the names of the next 3 chapters. I give her the main characters within those 3 chapters, with kind of in that section of chapters. And I also give her the main locations that are important in those next 3 chapters. So there's a lot of characters, there's a lot of places, and I'm starting to cut back. So I'm only giving Becki the really essential characters that play a significant role and the really essential places that play a significant role. So if you're listening to this and going, oh, he forgot about this, 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 and this, it's because I'm really trying to streamline this to make it a little bit easier for Becki, because when there's like 20 different characters, it's really hard to make predictions for all of that. So trying to streamline here. Are you ready to hear all of the information?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Chapter 10 is called The Rogue Bludger. Chapter 11 is called The Dueling Club. And Chapter 12 is called The Polyjuice Potion. The main characters for these chapters are Harry, Ron, and Hermione, Professor Lockhart, Madame Pomfrey, Dobby, Colin Creevey, Crabbe and Goyle, Professor Snape, Malfoy, a summoned snake, Justin Finch Fletchley, Fawkes, Dumbledore, and Hagrid. And the main locations for these 3 chapters are the Defense Against the Dark Arts class, Moaning Myrtle's bathroom, the Quidditch pitch, the hospital wing, a dueling club, the headmaster's office, and the Slytherin common room. You get it? What are you laughing at? What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing because if you wouldn't have just now said Defense Against the Dark Arts class, because in our shared document you have written Dada class, and I was gonna guess it was like some like cool found art class like Dada is. I didn't know it was that it stood for that. I was like, oh, like the urinal, and then they are in the bathroom, so it makes sense.
No, Dada is Defense Against the Dark Arts. And eventually they start using Dada in the book too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just let you know. Are you ready to make your predictions?
Yeah.
All right, give it a shot. Go ahead.
First, we have a chapter called The Rogue Bludger. So I feel like we're going to have our very first like big Quidditch game, right? And this is going to be the first time that Harry and Malfoy are facing off as Seekers. This big Quidditch game. So I think before the game, I think they're in the Dada class, which is not about Dadaism. It is about the Defense Against the Dark Arts, as I learned. And they're going to have learned some kind of enchantment or spell that works on objects, and that will come into play later when this like enchanted bludger is trying to harm Harry, right? So this bludger goes a little crazy, and it's like clearly going after Harry, and it's kind of similar to the first book when his broom got all enchanted and tried to throw him off of it. So I feel like this is like another iteration of that. So we're going to see the Quidditch game. We're going to see Malfoy being a jerk. We're going to have some of the professors at the Quidditch game. We're going to have Lockhart. We're going to have Madame Pomfrey. Is she the Quidditch?
No.
Who's that?
Professor Hooch or Madame Hooch?
Oh, Madame Hooch.
Yeah.
Who's Pomfrey?
Madame Pomfrey is the witch that runs the hospital wing.
Oh, okay.
She's the doctor.
Got it. Well, she's not there. But Lockhart is, and I also think Colin Creevey's going to be there being like Harry's number one fan and like, let me carry your broomstick for you, or like trying to be a water boy or something. I don't know. Colin's going to be there and he's going to be annoying. So that's what happens at the Quidditch game. Someone probably gets hurt. I'm thinking maybe Malfoy gets hurt and has to go to the hospital wing. I'm not sure. Someone gets hurt in the game from the rogue bludger.
Okay.
I think at the end of this section, maybe Harry goes back to his dorm and Dobby's there. Frickin' Dobby found his way back, weaseled his way back to Harry, and he's like, I'm Dobby and I hate myself, but like he's like implores him to stop investigating the Chamber of Secrets. He's like, don't do it. If you do it, everyone will die. And Harry, like he always does, just doesn't listen. So that's what happens in that chapter.
Okay.
All right, and then we have the dueling club, and I was a little bit torn about this one because I'm not sure if it means like a group of people with a common interest or potentially like a hangout, like a dueling piano bar, but a dueling club. Or if it's an object.
Oh, like a clubhouse?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I don't know.
The cool hangout spot.
Yeah. You know, like the Max and Saved by the Bell.
Yeah.
But I think I've landed on the object, like a club, like a weapon.
Oh.
That also gets enchanted. So I think this is like a recurring theme. Like you have this rogue bludger that's going after Harry. Then you have this other enchanted object, this dueling club, this weapon that's also enchanted that is maybe also trying to attack Harry. Maybe it makes Harry get in a lot of trouble and he has to then go to the headmaster's office. And that's where he's going to talk to Dumbledore, and Snape is going to be there, like standing in the corner, being mysterious or saying something creepy and trying to get him in trouble. Harry definitely feels like things are coming after him, and everyone's telling him to like stop worrying about this heir or this chamber or secret or whatever. But he ignores them, and Harry and Ron and Hermione decide to go back to Moaning Myrtle because they need to get some more details. Was she the one that knew about like the polyjuice potion?
Myrtle?
Yeah.
No. Hermione knows about it.
Hermione knows about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they need to get some more information about something. So they go talk to Myrtle, and she's dreadful. But then they figure out how to make the polyjuice potion. And they go to Slytherin and visit Malfoy, but Malfoy thinks that it's Crabbe and Goyle. And they get information out of Malfoy about, because they probably still suspect Malfoy because of his dad and some other evil things that have been happening. And so they pose as Crabbe and Goyle to chat with him and figure out if he knows anything. Like if he knows where the chamber is, if it's like a family secret or like something like that. And then they're like, cool, let's go find it. And they set off to go find this chamber. And then they like come across a snake, this summoned snake that we don't know who summoned, but someone summoned it. And the snake's gonna be like, don't come here. Like, beware. And
how do you think why do you think it's a snake?
Because you just said a summoned snake is a character in this chapter. What do you mean? What do you mean, how do I know? Because you put it on this list.
Interesting. Okay.
What?
Nothing. Just wondering.
What do you mean?
Just wondering.
Why did you ask that?
I'm just trying to get some clarification. Also, I have another question. Do you think that right now there's two theories about who the heir of Slytherin is?
Yeah.
And it's Malfoy and the other is it's Harry.
Uh-huh.
Which one do you think it is?
Neither.
It
would be a bad book if it was either one.
So do you think that they get any useful information out of Malfoy?
Yes.
Mm.
No, they don't. So they go visit Hagrid, and he always lets stuff slip. So they go figure out how to manipulate Hagrid into saying something, and then they go find it.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's what I predict will happen in chapters 10, 11, and 12.
Thanks, Becki, for that prediction. We will be back next week talking about these next 3 chapters. We're going to go read it, see if she was right or wrong, and we'll be back to talk about it. And next week, Becki will make her predictions for the next 3 chapters in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
We only have 2 left.
We have, 2 more episodes left.
So next week, we'll talk about these, and the following week, we'll talk about the end.
Yeah, this is a pretty short book, too.
Yeah, are we going to do our bonus episode where we watch the movie?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Thank you guys for listening so much. We would love to hear from you. Follow us on Instagram at Muggles Guide Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Muggles Guide. And check out our website, amugglesguide.com. If you want to get in contact with us, there's plenty of ways to do it. We look forward to hearing from you. We'll see you guys next time.
Toodaloo.
Toodaloo. Bye.